Alright, taking a look at multiplying and dividing integers here. Our goal is to be able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide integers, and then apply our understanding to substitution problems and exponent problems. First off, we're kind of backing up to a groups model of multiplication here. So we've got 4 multiplication statements. We're looking at 3 groups of 4. We're looking at 4 groups of -2, -3 groups of 2, and -4 groups of -4. And now we're kind of reading the first sign as adding the groups, or reading that first sign as taking away groups for the first sign. And then the second sign, we're reading them as groups of something. So in this case, groups of 4, groups of -2, groups of 2, groups of -4. So the visual that I've got lined up for us is this. That first question, 3 groups of 4, you could visualize like this, right? We're adding in our 3 groups of 4, or we're creating 3 groups of 4 in the number line and getting ourselves to 12. The next question we could visualize like this. We're adding in 4 groups of -2, so there they are kind of appearing, being added in, or adding in 4 groups of -2 in the number line, getting ourselves to -8. So when the first sign is positive, it's a little easier to visualize these. This one we saw 2, adding in the groups of -2 got us down to -8 on a number line. Next one is -3 groups of +2. So there again is the adding in 4 groups of -2, -2, -2, -2, -2 gets us down to -8 on the number line. Here's the next one we looked at. Now it's as if we're taking away 3 groups of +2. So here's the 0 pair showing up, and then we're taking away the positives, left with the negatives. Here's the 2's appearing, and then we're kind of taking away those 2's, ending up with -2's, and the total down here is the -6, the red 6 in the number line. So this guy was -6. Now the last one's a little trickier because it's as if we're taking away 4 groups of -4. You can take your pick here. Here's the integer chip, right? Starting with 0 pairs, just like we did for subtraction. And then we're taking away the negatives. Starting with negatives and now taking away negatives is what these are showing, right? They start as negative and then flip. So we're flipping these negatives or taking away these negatives, end up with 16. So this guy is 16, and it's a positive 16. I had a -6 in the middle, I had a -8 in the middle. Now we're going to look for a pattern there in a minute, but I just want to re-represent these. I should fill this in, sorry. When we added 4 groups of -2, we got -8. When we took away 3 groups of 2, we ended up with -6. When we took away 4 groups of -4, we ended up with positive 16. Okay, so now as division statements, we can use those same pictures, but just picture kind of the total, this 12 here, being divided into groups of 3. So 12 divided by 3, or we can picture it as 12 divided by 4. So we'll go back to this for a sec. So if now we take our 12, you can see how this 12 is broken up into groups of 4, or you can see how it's broken up into 3 groups. So that's what I've written here. 12 divided into groups of 3 equals 4, and we're going to say 4 in each group, as you see in the picture. Whoops, there's my tunes. 4 in each group. There it is. Or 12 divided into groups of 4 equals 3 groups. Okay. And this is useful when we start talking again about negatives. So here's the next question. 6 divided into, and this should be -6 divided into groups of -3, or -6 divided into 2 groups. So here's what our -6 look like. Divided into groups of -2, we get 3 groups. Or 6 divided into -6 divided into 3 groups equals -2 in each group. So I've kind of alright, so this is our -6, and if we talk about that -6 divided into groups of -3 equals 2 groups, or just just to write it out mathematically, negative 6 divided by negative 3 equals 2. Negative 6 divided into 2 groups equals negative 3 in each group. Or mathematically, negative 6 divided by 2 equals negative 3. In the next one, we had negative 8. We're looking at this multiplication question. I'm just kind of reversing it. Negative 8 divided into 4 groups, or negative 8 divided into groups of 2. So here's what that looked like. Here's our negative 8 divided into 4 groups. You see there's negative 2 in each group. So this divided by this equals negative 2. Or negative 8 divided into groups of negative 2 equals 4 groups. Right? There's a group of negative 2, another one, third one, fourth one. So we can write it that both ways. Negative 8 divided into 4 groups equals negative 2 in each group. Or negative 8 divided by 4 equals negative 2. Negative 8 divided into groups of negative 2 equals 4 groups. Negative 8 divided by negative 2 equals 4. So this is where we're starting to get tricky, and we'll leave the last one because we don't even need to look at it in this case. But what you're seeing here is this pattern when these are both positive and our answer is positive. Both positive and our answer is positive. These are both negative and our answer is positive. These are both negative and our answer is positive. So the pattern here, the rule here we see is when we're dividing positives, we're dividing negatives. Up here, when we're multiplying positives, or in the fourth example, multiplying negatives, every time, if the signs are the same, the answer is positive. So this is a plus, 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 plus. Answers are always positive. The next, guys, when the signs are different, so when we had a negative divided by a positive, we got a negative. When we had negative divided by positive, we got a negative, right? Maybe easier to look at up here. Positive times a negative equals a negative. Negative times a positive equals a negative. So in those cases where there's different signs, the answer is always negative. Negative, 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 negative. Okay, so those rules are going to help you out big time. Make sure you got them, make sure you know them, make sure you can use them, right? Are we looking at different signs, or are we looking at the same signs? Here are the sign. Is our answer going to be positive, or is our answer going to be negative? Good luck.